Hi, I'm Julia and this is my shed. So we're back on the Britannia again. As you remember from the last episode, we've got this regulator assembly installed. But you'll notice we've still got this big red handle on the gas valve. So the next thing we need to do is to replace this with a linkage. So I've got some details on the linkage, but that's something we're going to have to make. So let's take you to the workbench. So you perhaps remember from one of the smokebox episodes, I fitted this regulator handle, which is held in place with a split pin, with a taper pin, sorry. And we've got this handle on the inside. See if my torch is working. It's not great now. Hopefully you can see that. So we've got this lever, and then if I show you the photo of what it's supposed to look like. So what we've just looked at there is this assembly here. So what we're missing is this block, this pin, this arm, which has a slot in it. It's not very easy to see, but it has a slot in it, and a collar, which probably goes around the square of the regulator shaft, and then obviously we've got a bolt there as well. So apparently when Modelworks went bust for the second time, a lot of people didn't get this assembly. It was one of the last parts of the kits, but luckily on the Britannia Builder website it does actually explain sort of dimensions for those. So and I think he also mentions dimensions for a larger one of these. This lever apparently is too short, so like the lever on the inside is something like 1 inch long, and then you've just got something that's perhaps 1/4 of an inch between centres, so it's just not there's not enough leverage there. So this needs to be longer, probably about 1 inch. So we need to make a new one of those. We can keep that one, but we need to add this part, and obviously we need to make all those parts as well. So hopefully that should be enough to keep us going for a bit. I will have a rummage around my stock of material, and we'll see what we can come up with. So one thing I've noticed is that this this has a nut on it, whereas the one in the kit would have had be threaded by the looks of it. There isn't a lot of meat there, so I think that's going to restrict how much boss I can actually have there. So I might end up cranking this or something, I'm not sure yet. But what we'll do is, I think I want to start on this boss that's going to sit over here. It needs to have flats on it, which is similar to the handle that's already there. So I've found this bit of brass. This should do the trick. So I shall clean it up in the lathe first, and then we can probably use some of this hole that's already there too. We'll just expand that a little bit, I think, and see how we get on. So let's go to the lathe. Okay, so I need to just flatten this end off. The slot needs to be about 5mm wide, so I'll smooth this off and just clean up the outer edges, and then we'll put a 5mm drill through to start us off, and then go over to the milling machine then to slot the 5mm a bit wider. I've just cleaned the lathe. I've managed to knock all my motor controls. Yes, don't recoil in shock and horror. I have actually cleaned the lathe today. It was long overdue. There's quite a deep countersink on this side, so I'm just going to remove that so we're nice and flush. There we go. We'll just put a chamfer on, because apparently chamfers are important. I'll find a 5mm drill and then we'll do some drilling. Okay, so we've got the 5mm drill ready to go. Looks like the hole's already 5mm, so that's good. No problem then. Okay, let's go to the milling machine. So I'm using one of my little V blocks, and what I've done is just held it loosely in the vise, drop this down and then tighten the vise up so we're pretty central. Certainly this way we're central. That way doesn't matter so much because that's the direction we're going to cut. So the slot needs to be 7mm, so it's basically just 1mm each way, so we'll have a go at that, shall we? Possibly just go a bit further down, I think. So that looks good. I'll just measure that with the calipers, just make sure we've got enough space there. Okay, so I need to drill a hole in the piece of metal I'm going to use as the lever. So I'm just going to shave a tiny bit off this so that it's down to 14mm. Not a lot. Should do it perfect, I think. That'll just give us a very tiny shoulder that we can utilise when we're silver soldering the two pieces together. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, let's have a look at what we've got then. Maybe time to part it off actually, thinking about it. Probably turn it round to part it off. I've got some sort of reference. I'm going to drill through all the way with the 5mm before I part off. It. And then we'll part off at 7mm. So I've got the centre in there. I'm not sure how much support that will give us, but we'll give it a go because it's obviously engaging in a slot at the moment. Okay, so that's our boss nearly all machined up. So slight change of plan. I don't think I'd originally was just going to counterbore this so it was big enough for the nut, but I think I've changed my mind now. What I'm going to do is just use a file just to enlarge these slots so they go all the way through, and then we'll see how that looks. And then I need to find some way of attaching this next. So yeah, let's do some filing. So having had a bit more think about it, that's the position when the valve is closed, and that's the position when it's open. So what we want the lever to do is be about 45 degrees when it's closed forwards, and 45 degrees when it's open. So what we want in this lever is to be at 45. This lever needs to be 45 degrees here, so we need a slot 45 degrees. And I think the easiest way to do that is to mount this in the vise at 45 degrees and just machine through. So I think what I'll do is I'll figure out I haven't really got room for a boss, to be honest. There's not a lot of space there once you get this on. So I'm not really sure what to do now, because there's not a lot of space there. So I think I will. I shall make a slot in this and then see how rigid it looks and whether we need to provide some more support. So as a special treat, I've got the device on its rotating table. I very rarely use it, because obviously you lose a bit of head height and quite a bit of rigidity as well. So don't think you can really see, but I've got it set to 45 degrees on the scale. Doesn't have to be super accurate. And then I've found the centre where I want the hole. I don't know if you can, I think you can just about see the centre pot mark there. So we'll drill down 5mm and then we'll make a slot that's 7mm each, well 7mm total. So it's the same as before. So I'll do that on time lapse, because you've already seen me do this on the boss that I had to go at. Okay, so I just had to clean up the slot slightly with a round file, but we've got some clearance there, and it does feel quite good actually. It feels quite rigid. So when we're fully forwards like this, the ball is shut, and then when we pull the lever all the way back, we're fully open. So I think that's the correct direction. So the next job with this is to we need to get this to the right length. So it needs to be 40mm from here to the end. Sorry, I'll mark that off in a second. And we then need a 3mm slot machining, which will engage in this mechanism. So as I've lost this boss, we might need to make this square section a bit bigger. It's quite a bit of a cantilever there, so I might end up silver soldering this. I'm not sure yet. That's something to consider. So this needs to be 40mm from the centre to the end. So I shall cut that off with a hacksaw. I haven't fixed my power hacksaw yet. And then we'll clean up this end on the mill and put the slot in. I'll just clean that end off, but we'll round this corner off anyway, I think, just using a file. So excuse the poor lighting, but this is the problem we're trying to solve. So if I can point, so you can see that the operating lever, which I'm moving now, that's the one that goes to the outside world. You can see that is shorter, and the angle is it is off at a weird angle. But that's basically the position with the throttle fully open. And then if I pull it forward, that's just closing there now. Something like that would be fully closed. I don't know how clear that is. I'll try and lighten it up in post-production for you a bit, but as you can see, we haven't got a lot of room there. and it's all at weird angles. So that's the problem we're trying to solve anyway. Thinking actually. So thinking out loud, what I could actually do is rotate the valve a bit, so it's a bit more parallel to the actuating arm, like I've just done now. I'm not sure again how clear that is, but we still have the issue that the axes don't line up completely. But yeah, so the next job is we'll clean up this piece, and we'll put a slot in for this thing that goes across. I'll try and measure that, and we'll see how we get on. Yeah, maybe able to knock this downwards a little bit. Maybe I might just try that. Yeah, I think that's as vertical as that will go, unfortunately. But it's a bit better. So I've set the vise up so it's parallel to the axes again, and we'll do a bit of machining just to get this end nice and square. Right, that's that side square. I will square up the other side just because it's easy, and then I'll just round it off by hand afterwards. So next job is to make a slot. It needs to be 30mm long. So I've lined up on the centre line there. I've realigned the vise with the axes. I've got a mark there. You might not be able to see that, but you might be able to. Got a mark there anyway, so it's not super critical again. And I've got a 3mm FC3 cutter, so we'll make a 3mm slot. And I'll bring you back. I've done the slot now. What I want to do is just by eye just round these corners off a bit, just again so I don't catch myself on it. It's purely cosmetic really, but it's quite nice to do a manual bit of fitting filing now and again. I'll put you on time lapse for this anyway. Okay, so I'll probably leave that at this for now. So you can see the, I mean that's basically fully closed when it's at 45 degrees, and that's at fully open. Chances are we're never going to be running at fully open. It's probably going to be something like from there to there, but so it's quite stiff, so we will need quite a rigid assembly to work this. So let's carry on, shall we, with the rigid assembly. Okay, so we've now got the we're on to the last bit, which is the sort of bar that connects the two parts together. So I've got some just under 10mm square bar here in the self-centering 4-jaw. So I'm going to smooth off the end, and then we need 15mm 3mm diameter, and then we'll part it off, turn it round, and then drill and tap for the other end. So yeah, let's see how we get on. So I'm actually going to engage the lead screw and use the lead screw hand wheel, basically because as you get the vibrations, it will tend to push the tool back if you're just using the rack. I've got a nice sharp tool in the diamond tool holder now. Okay, so that's I'm not sure if this is square, actually. It isn't. I thought that was square, but it's not. I might need to change the brass. So hopefully you can see I've put some feeler gauges on the shorter sides, so that should then centralise the part in the forejaw, and that'll do. I think we can use this to our advantage anyway. Yeah, that looks pretty central, so I need to reduce the diameter, or, yeah, bring it down to 4mm, to 3mm rather, to match the slot that we've just made. And that needs to be 15mm long. Almost circular. Started to look good, so I'll put you on time lapse for the rest of this. So hopefully you can see I'm bringing it down to 3mm in 2 stages, because it would probably be a bit flexible if you're doing the final cuts, if we try to do the full length all in one go. Okay, so I've turned it round now. I need to just chamfer this side very slightly. Just to take some of the sharp edges off. Maybe a bit more. Okay, now we'll drill and tap M3. Okay, so I'm going to centre drill first. There we go. And then I need to find the tapping drill for M3. So I made a slight mistake there, it's M4. So I'm going to drill 3.3, which is the tapping size. Struggling to get that to go through, surprisingly. Right, that should do. Okay, so we'll start the tap off in the drill chuck. And then I'll use a tapping wrench then. So you've all seen tapping before, so I'll bring you back once we've got this fully tapped, and then I think we're ready for a trial assembly then. So that's the trial fit. So hopefully you can see how that's working. I'm finding it very difficult to operate the valve with this very small lever on the outside. So I think that's the next thing we need to address. But that crank arrangement seems to be working quite well, actually. I'm quite impressed with that, so or surprised even. But yep, it seems to be coping quite well. I thought the 3mm sort of nubbin on that square brass might be a bit flimsy, but it's not protruding very much, so I think we'll be okay there. We only need the length really when we're just engaging it for the first time. So yeah, all good. Very pleased. So probably a bit of a shorter one this week. I've got quite a few things on. I do hope you've enjoyed it. Please leave a comment. Perhaps you'd have approached this slightly differently. But anyway, I thought hopefully you found it entertaining, informative. So please leave us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and by all means subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and it does help the channel. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next one.